Okay, so let's get started. We're going to continue our talk about the blast off stuff, the blast off activities. And then we're going to do a couple things today. First of all, this is chapter 3 stuff. The slides are available on the syllabus. Today I'm going to teach you how to brainstorm. We've all heard of this. This is a very popular technique, but not too many people know there's actual structure and rules to it. It actually make it more effective. And then we're going to talk about identifying stakeholders. So, at the end of the class, you should be able to describe the 4 rules of brainstorming and kind of define the process. You should be able to define what I mean when I say stakeholder, and there's a common misconception there. And then, given a scenario, you should be able to develop a reasonable list of stakeholders by the end of this lecture. It may have to carry you to Monday. So how does brainstorming work? The gist of it is, it's a structured way for a group. You can actually do it by yourself, but it's a structured way to generate creative ideas first through divergent thinking, and then converge on good ones, or useful. Good is kind of normative, and that's probably not the appropriate way to describe it. But you diverge, then converge. So this is one of the most recognized creativity tools. There are 2 key principles. Some of you saw this yesterday in lab. The first one is that you defer judgment. And that means that when I say defer judgment, it means when someone comes with an idea, you don't say anything about it. You'll say it's good, you'll say it's bad, you'll say it's silly. Like I think Raleigh came up yesterday with software that mix orange juice. Something like that, right? Now, clearly, he was being a little whimsical. But in the rules of brainstorming, he wouldn't say anything. Now, if you shut that down, if you shut, oh man, finally, that's just stupid. Software that mixes orange juice. But when we started riffing off of it, we actually had some kind of neat ideas. And that's the idea, is that you don't shut down ideas. If they're not very good, just riff off them. Build off them. Because even if it's way out there and sounds kind of silly, that might spark something else. And so that's the principle. So in this you want to put as many ideas out there as possible. Be as extreme as you can. And they've done some studies about this, and it's like the curve of idea generation, conversion idea generation, typically spikes really early and kind of dribbles off. But what they found is that most of the better ideas come towards the back end of that curve. So that's what you want to do, is want to just put them out there. Right? Don't judge. Don't judge. There'll be a time for judgment, but that's the second phase. There's 4 rules to brainstorm. One of them is, this is an annoying letter.
Oh, that's a rule?
Yeah. So, I talked about this when the first rule is focus on quantity over quality. Get as many down as you can. Second, this is the deferred judgment. Withhold any criticism. Third, welcome novel ideas. Like this shirt is out. Like this shirt was silly. But if you had an open mind to it, then it might spark something really good. Fourth, mix and match. So, maybe Blake said something, has an idea, and that at first doesn't seem like it would work well with the orange juice mixing software, but you never know. So don't do this stuff in isolation. The ideas, the arts segregate. Use them to build as building blocks. It's not a contest to see who can be the most creative. So there's no internal competition going on in these groups. You don't feel compelled that you do that. There are no dumb ideas. So, they say there are no dumb questions. Don't dumb people ask them. But it's not the case here. Every idea is great.
So, building up other people like kids, how do you like the audience instead of going down like rabbit holes? How do you distinguish between rabbit holes?
Actually, that's a great question. So, it's not really a moderator per se. And you can have a moderator that says, hey, look, we're kind of getting down this. But the hope is that your group is diverse enough. But then, you know, that you get different ideas and you get different diversity of thought. But I mean, that's, you just have to have some self-awareness to recognize. But maybe it's not a rabbit hole. Maybe it's a good solution. You know? Yeah, but there's no rule is it that. Identify rabbit holes by this. This is what a snipe left looks like. You guys know where the phrase snipe left comes from? There's no such thing as a snipe. It takes the bird. They go hunt for snipes. The bird that doesn't exist. That's what I do. So here's the process. Pretty simple. First, you define your problem. Today, we're going to come up with solutions for textbooks. And you state the rules. You do this at the beginning of every session, just to set the context. Right? Mix and match. We're going to go for quality. We're going to go for quantity. No one casts judgment. We want as many ideas as we can. Then we generate the ideas, and this is called divergent thinking. Now, if anybody's really interested in creativity, I have a few books. Collections, research this, study this, and write books on these techniques. I have a few in my office if anybody's interested in creative thinking. Then, once you're done, in a separate and distinct session, then you converge. It's important that these two are done, that you don't have to physically relocate. But you need some kind of hard break that says we're no longer generating new ideas. Now we're going to converge. And here's a couple different methods. You can just do straight voting. Everybody knows which one's the best. You can do ranked voting. Ranked voting is like, say, Allison will get 10 votes, Cody will get 10 votes, Trent will get 10, and Zach will get 10. And then you can distribute them however you like. If you think one's really good, you put all 10 on that one. If one's kind of good, 5, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, and whichever ones at the end have the most votes, hopefully that means you vote. You can do multi-voting. This is where you have rounds of voting. Let's all vote. The ones that are at the top get voted on again, then those get voted on, etc., to narrow down into a solution. Another idea is to do affinity grouping, and here's where you kind of like group them by like theme. Try to identify, well, these are all orange juice related, these are all gym related, and then make some decisions from there. And there's many more of these, but these are just some examples. It's a defined process. It fixed a set of rules. The real key one is that you remind people the rules at the beginning. Keep them on set. Don't catch judgment. As many ideas out there as possible. Don't criticize. So, that's how you brainstorm. We're going to be doing some brainstorming activities, and you'll be doing some in your project, in your labs. We're going to do one today in class. So let's talk about stakeholders. This is who's involved or impacted by our work. It's a common misconception that stakeholders people are invested, that have a stake in your project. This is a misconception. That's not the way to look at it. Stakeholders are anybody that has an interest in the outcome or can affect your outcome. And as this can affect your outcome, it really broadens your scope of who you need to talk to. We talked before about the idea of negative stakeholders, because they can affect your outcome. Generally, the number one stakeholder is the owner. This is fairly universal. And the owner is the one who's paying for the work. No matter who they're doing it for, let's say you're hired by a company to write software for a charity. The number one stakeholder is still the person paying the check. Frequently, you have this idea of a project sponsor, and this is a proxy for the owner. If it's a company, you typically have a proxy for the shareholders. That's typically the number one stakeholder. Generally, the number two stakeholder is your customer. And this is the person that becomes the owner once they buy from you. This is not general. The next stakeholder, this is on par with the customer, the user. They may not be the same thing. Your customer may be some business, like say you're providing some software for their supply. The customer may be some purchasing agent or some manager, but the user may be the user there. So they may be distinct, but they typically are treated equally. Often its users aren't very obvious, like people who do support, people who have to maintain the system, like rerun the indexes on your database. So often they're not the classic idea of the user going down and using your GUI. It's everybody supporting that also. But those often get forgotten. There's worlds of other types. Okay? Subject matter experts. Every adjacent system in your work context diagram is a stakeholder. Negative ones, legal compliance, and on. This is a map that Blair put together. And so they have, you're on the team, you're a stakeholder. They have, people who are going to use it. They have security consultants, automated systems that interface with it, special interest groups, blah, 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 blah. Let's say you're doing some culturally relevant piece of software. You might want to consider talking to some special interest group. Or some politically charged software. You might have people who are stakeholders that you push for. But huge amount of people. And it's all going to be context dependent. So how do we identify what's for our project? Very, very dependent on your domain. You can look at your work context diagram to start to identify them. You can evaluate your organizational chart to see who might be involved. We're going to do brainstorming. And then you can take a look at this. Blair provides a template. It's a big spreadsheet, kind of organized by those categories you saw prior. For this class, we'll try a little different tool. But the gist, stakeholders, anyone affected by your stakeholder in your project. So how we're going to do stakeholders in this class is we're going to use a tool called the business model canvas. I know you've heard of the business model canvas. Who else has heard of the business model canvas? Okay. So what a business model canvas is, it's a template that a lot of startups use to kind of like flesh out their business model. It's got like 9 building blocks in it. Okay. The great thing is that it's a good way to compartmentalize how we think about a problem, how we think about our solution, which could reveal some stakeholders. Now, we're not going to watch this because I want to do the exercise. Y'all can watch this short little explainer video on the business model canvas when you break out to your groups. But here's the idea. Is that you have this literal canvas. So you have this segment here, like called, that's your customer segments. And so you do these thought exercises, say, well, who are going to be my customers? How do they break down? How do the customers differentiate one from the other? So let's look at your procrastination. Who's doing the procrastination one? Spitball. What might be a couple different customers? Students, but are all students the same?
Really, any student is going to have that issue to some extent.
But maybe engineering students might have different needs than nursing students. For example,
there could be different solutions for different students.
Maybe software engineering students might have different needs than electrical engineering students. But here's where you do that thing, double E, B-E, if that's appropriate. If that's appropriate. So this next part, customer relationships. This is how you maintain a relationship with your customer. So like trust, Loyalty. How do you plan on maintaining your relationship with your customer with your scheduling software? Great reputation. You know, maybe people are very happy with it. But this is where you got to think through that. What kind of relationship are you going to have with your customers? This channel's one here, and this is how you connect with them. So a channel for most software is going to be maybe some kind of web would be a distribution channel. Like for my products, my distribution channel is Amazon and eBay. So these are your distribution channels. Now, take for example that let's say we're doing something for my product and I distribute online via Amazon. Now I've got stakeholders that I might need to talk to at Amazon. Make sense? You flesh out how you're going to make money. So let's say you do a subscription model. Well, if you do a subscription model, then all of a sudden, maybe Stripe becomes an adjacent system. Stripe's a payment gateway. Then maybe you need to go talk to someone at Stripe. Or they see the API docs, and that the API docs become the stakeholder that you got to work to. And those API requirements may push down requirements on you, like you have to have SSL, so you have to go get an SSL certificate. Cost structure. This is what costs y'all have with y'all's solution? Maybe website hosting, right? Maybe some maintenance. Any licenses? Now, if you got licenses, then you need to go add a lawyer to your list of stakeholders. Key partners. Textbooks. Maybe I want to make key partners with local faculty. Maybe that's critical. But I make relationships with local faculty. Or maybe I decided to make some connection with ASEE, which is a Engineering Educators Association. Or whatever. Here's what you think through that. Who are your key partners for? What you guys are going to do the bus transit one, right? Is that the app you're going to do? Anthony? So who's your key partner for that? Transit company, right? They're going to do is we subscribe to the service, and when the bus is close to your location, it'll text you about 10, 15 minutes ahead. So, hey, get out of bed, go down there, and take the bus. So, clearly, the transit operator is going to have to be one of your key partners. Key activities. This is things that you need to do to provide value to your customers. These are the things that support your value proposition, which I probably should have done earlier. Key resources, like maybe for the textbooks, a key resource would be me if it's for my class. Your value propositions. What a value proposition, this is what you're offering someone that they would be willing to buy. So you do chess training. So one of your value propositions, I'm going to make your son or daughter a better chess player. But maybe another value proposition is, and if they enter tournaments, they'll have a higher chance of winning awards. Raising higher. Competitive chess, not just training chess. Cody, you guys put together a business on campus over the summer. What was y'all's value proposition? What was the context and what was some of the value propositions?
So we were creating a solution for people that needed to be able to talk to somebody in-house that necessarily wasn't like the front desk person in a given business. So we built a communication platform. But the value proposition was it allowed people at different points in the company to connect with someone on the outside.
Why would someone buy that software? Why would someone hire you? Why would someone buy my products? My products have to do with like gut health and microbiome stuff. So they would buy my products if they want your autism. Well, not really, but there are a lot of research that shows that gut health ties to stuff like autism. Believe it or not, that's pretty great. They actually took some rats that they bred for social disorders. They changed the bacteria for these rats that didn't have this breed. They changed the gut bacteria between them. And what the social disorder rats all of a sudden went out all fairly not going. The other ones all of a sudden they started showing social behaviors. They did the same thing. Okay, so that's the business model canvas in 5 minutes. So here's what I want you to do for your exercise. It is going to take 2 days. So first, I want you to get with your team for your lab project. Yeah, for your lab project, fill out this business model canvas in a brainstorming session. Okay? So the mechanics would be that you guys put out a bunch of ideas, but don't put them on your canvas until you've diverged, until you've converged. Okay? Then what I want you to do is take one of these sheets, loosely draw the business model canvas, and fill it out. And we're going to post them up. And Monday, we're going to all walk around and take a look at them. Then we're going to do the same thing with stakeholders. Okay? Stakeholders, I'm going to give you the scenario on Monday. So I want you to do stakeholders for textbooks. So I'll give you a business model canvas on Monday. Then we'll do a brainstorming session, and then we'll also walk around and look at everybody's stakeholder list for textbooks. But for today, I want you to do the business model canvas for your course project. Any questions? So we've got a half an hour. That should be enough time. Remember, state the 4 rules when you get started. The end product that I want a drawn out business model canvas. Any questions? Who's short? Y'all short one and y'all short one, right? Justin and John. Okay, when you're ready, I have pens for you. And you can come get it. You can pull off a sheet. You can watch that video. You can watch that video if you want. And I've also linked to you a high-res version of the business model canvas that's available off Wiki.
Honestly, just want to so what are our key partners? What are key resources are we acquiring our key activities for performance? Any partners?
Also, the next slide on here is you can look at business model canvas for Facebook. So you can watch the video, you can look at business model canvas for Facebook for a concrete version. And then the high-res version, you can read